What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So today, I want to talk about some more Trey Johnson quotes that should have fans fired up. I want to talk about how those comments maybe signal a culture shift here in DC. Then I want to chat about what are reasonable expectations for this rookie class. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that down in the comments below. And lastly, we'll break down what else you should monitor as this NBA offseason progresses. As always, thanks for tuning in to Wizards Latest. I appreciate all of the support. Make sure you like and subscribe. And again, drop your comments down below. You can also hit me over on Twitter at BenRobertson32. Would love to hear your thoughts or potential future video ideas. So let's jump right in today. Trey Johnson was on DC Sports Radio this week, and he dropped another quote that I just absolutely loved, and again, should have fans just so fired up. He said, "When I heard my name get called at number 6, it was great. Everyone doesn't get to go where they wanted to go in the draft." Trey went on to say it was the best pre-draft visit and workout he had, and it was really a unique experience he had with the team. He said Will Dawkins introduced him to his family before they really talked basketball at all. He said it was the same sort of story when he met Michael Winger and Brian Keefe. They asked him about himself personally before they got into hoops whatsoever, and he said it was a pretty unique experience and not one that he had in any of his other pre-draft visits. Once he actually got on the court in his pre-draft workout, he said it was the best he had out of the ones he had conducted, and there was some pressure on Trey, at least just personally, going into that workout. He didn't want to fall below the number 6 pick and maybe have things get a little bit murky for him with the draft night slide. He said in the back of his mind there was just something he knew important about that workout. Showed up, showed out, had a great workout with the team, and of course got drafted number 6 overall. But these are just more quotes you love to hear about the Wizards draft pick, and things I think that really signal just a regime shift or a culture shift here in DC, something you just wouldn't have heard maybe a decade ago, and it is just so refreshing. So how has that happened? Well, the Wizards finally dipped out, or maybe stepped out of the pool of hires they had been swimming in when they went out and grabbed Michael Winger from the Clippers. And of course, he had previously been with OKC and Will Dawkins, where Will Dawkins, with that Thunder team, cut his teeth in the NBA for 15 seasons, was a part of building not one, but 2 contending squads with the Thunder. Of course, the Durant, Westbrook, Harden squad that made the finals, and then he was there for sort of the beginnings of this current NBA champion Thunder team. Will Dawkins has brought a philosophy from OKC here to DC about just trying to grab value and squeeze value out of any situation he can, and I love that about him, whether it's getting off the Bradley Beal contract, flipping CP3 into Jordan Poole, and then of course recently flipping Jordan Poole again, whether it's gaining an extra first-round pick for Denny Avdia in last year's draft and snagging Bub Carrington. Any situation that he can work with and he can maneuver in, Will Dawkins is going to. And again, the word I use is refreshing, because for so long this franchise was just stained by mismanagement and bad contracts and inexplicable trades. And for Will Dawkins to do what he's done, again, a franchise that once traded away the number 5 pick in a draft where Steph Curry went number 7, and pretty much the big return on that was Mike Miller and Randy Foye. No disrespect to those guys, but it has come such a long way, and why I believe, despite, again, I'm not going to put any expectations on this upcoming season because we all know the deal. We all know we're trying to finish with a top 8 pick and lose that first-round draft pick next year if we fall out of the top 8. But why I think the future is so bright in DC, and again, why so many are believers in this front office. So great stuff from Trey, and again, excited for the future here in DC. And sort of on the note of expectations, I don't want to put expectations, again, we all understand the situation with the team in this upcoming season, But would love to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. What should we expect from this rookie class this year? Of course, again, I think, again, with those team expectations, I'm not going to, jump on that. But I do think, and I've talked about over the last couple weeks, how this upcoming season is such an important one for so many of the young players here in DC. The last couple of days, we've really talked about, Alex Sarr a whole bunch. Is he really a true five? Is he more of a four? Bub Carrington is going to get the chance to really be a lead guard. Again, we're hoping Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George continue to build and take more steps there. But again, today I want to talk specifically about the rookies because I think it's just an interesting sort of subject of what's successful for Trey Johnson and Will Riley and Jameer Watkins. For Trey, of course, we discussed pre-draft. I think he's in a pretty good spot for, a scoring threat coming out of college where he could be a focal point, in the offense and get to learn and grow with other young players. For Will Riley, I think we're going to see him do a mix of things. Of course, we've discussed his ability to handle the ball coming out of Illinois and got to do some different things in that offense. I think they're going to sort of try to move Will Riley around and see where he works best. Will Dawkins has chatted a whole bunch about defensive versatility. He's talked about that on the offensive side as well. While Bub Carrington is going to become more of the lead guard, he doesn't want it just running through one person offensively. He wants multiple players that can handle the rock and bring the ball up, and you can run the offense through. For Jameer Watkins, the second rounder from VCU and Florida State, I expect the path to large playing time, at least, to be a little bit more difficult for him just because we're sort of stock full of guys at his position. But hey, maybe he can use his college experience, his defensive ability to carve out a role early. Last thing I want to talk about today, I sort of want to look at the NBA landscape as a whole and then give you a couple names to sort of monitor as the offseason progresses. First, with the two names from here in DC, Malcolm Brogdon, Corey Kispert. I know Malcolm Brogdon no longer under contract with the Wizards, but it's been reported Will Dawkins open to maybe working out a sign and trade type of deal with Brogdon. Again, Dawkins hunting for value wherever he can find it. With Kispert, his name has sort of swirled for a while in sort of trade discussions with fans, but there hasn't been a ton of maybe concrete talk that's maybe popped up about him. I think he's another interesting guy just to sort of find out how this front office views him in the future plans. And then NBA-wise, of course, at least at the time of this video, the big chatter is potentially the Rockets and the Suns trying to expand that Kevin Durant trade deal. Potentially, it might become as large as 7 different teams. Now, while the Wizards weren't included in those initial reports, it's always hard to keep, 7 teams on the same page. So we'll see if there's any shakeup in, that deal and those negotiations before that trade gets finalized. I'll keep you posted with any Wizards updates right here on Wizards Latest, dropping episodes daily. I appreciate all the support once again, you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Drop your comments down below. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.